I'm Cheryl Chumley. This is Bold and Blunt, giving you a Christian conservative view of news, politics, culture, and events. Gal Kalev, thank you so much for being back on Bold and Blunt, the video version from Jerusalem. It's great to have you again.
Great to be here.
So I am so interested in knowing how the latest ICC action is impacting those in Israel. What is the word on the ground there?
This is just part of the Western assault on Judaism. The existential threat to Jews and Judaism is coming from the West, and we've seen it last week with the ICC indictments. The indictments against Prime Minister Netanyahu and Defense Minister Gallant are so preposterous. The accusation of the deliberate starvation of Palestinians. It's really an accusation of Jews wanting to stay alive. It is really a question of do Jews in Israel have a right to self-defense? But what is often missed is that this indictment is not just against Netanyahu and Gallant. If you read the indictment carefully, it sets the ground for further indictments against those who collaborate, to those who participate in those alleged crimes of deliberate starvations and extrajudicial killing. In other words, all soldiers in the army, those who participate. So we are bracing ourselves for a massive assault coming through the ICC in the form of war crime indictments. As we've spoken in the past, the threat to Israel is not war. We're sustaining a 7-front war, and we know how to handle it at a very heavy price. The path to our destruction is through war crime indictments. The West got it, and that's what we've been seeing over the last week.
So the lead prosecutor at the ICC who issued these indictments is facing several sexual misconduct charges right now. Do you see that he took advantage of why do you think he issued these indictments against Netanyahu right now?
Well, it's not him. I wish it was just one person, like rogue person, but he didn't issue the indictments. He requested the indictments back in May, and we spoke back then. It's a panel of judges. It's a whole system. And the South African foreign minister back in May, the foreign minister, divulged back then that there was 150 lawyers working on bringing suits against Israeli soldiers. That was back then, 6 months ago. The legal assault on the Jewish state is not a one-person show. It's sadly very well entrenched and well-funded, and sadly it can move forward because of the things we spoke about in the past, the other fronts in the assault on Judaism that is happening, including in the media coverage. So the public has been indoctrinated with the lie that Jews, once again, as they've done throughout the centuries, are polluting humanity, are committing crimes against humanities, are doing all those horrible things. And therefore, the prosecutor and the judges and the other people in the ICC can move forward and issue those indictments and get away with it. Now, Cheryl, the shocking thing is not the prosecutor and the judges or the 150 lawyers working on bringing more suits against Israeli soldiers and civilians. The shocking thing here is that within a day or two after issuing this slanderous indictments, countries around the world didn't say, oh, we are defunding the ICC, we're sanctioning the ICC. They said, sure, if you're issuing an arrest warrants against Jews in Israel, we will comply. This is not like countries, this is not Iran who said that. France said that. The EU said that. Canada said that. The Netherlands said that. And others have implied, and they said, oh, no, we're just obliged by treaties. It's not our fault, which is exactly the same thing people have said throughout the centuries. When France, 80 years ago, went on to arrest Jews, they said, well, we have a treaty with Germany, and we have we decided to collaborate with them. This is a stunning moment in world's history, certainly the assault on Judaism, where you have arrest warrants issued against the Jews that have no basis in reality, and the West, our allies, are standing, instead of standing with Israel, they're standing with the attack on Israel and pledging to collaborate.
So, the practical effect going forward of this arrest warrant, what do you see? Of course, you've already seen Iran and Iran's terror proxies using these indictments, using these arrest warrants for propaganda reasons. But in terms of Netanyahu's and Israel's government ability to govern effectively going forward, what do you see the repercussions of this?
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that's the positive repercussions it brings Israelis together, because this was the two targets were both from the, if you will, the coalition and the opposition. I mean, Gallant is not the opposition, but he was fired by Netanyahu a few months ago, and he opposes some of Netanyahu's policies, and so it brings Israelis together in that regards. But look, this is not against. This is not about Netanyahu and Gallant. This is about the idea of a Jewish state. And that is what they attempted. There's an attempt to negate the idea of Jewish state and through the idea of Judaism. And as we spoke in the past, this doesn't just affect Israel and the Jews. This is an issue of U.S. national security, because what we've seen last week with the ICC indictments, in my view, is nothing short of an attempt to challenge the U.S.-led world order. Because if you think about it, until now, I mean, it's not obviously there's the obvious stuff that you can just cut and paste the indictments and indict, former and current U.S. presidents and political leaders. But, the U.S., for the last few decades have led the world through its military might, through its economic might. Now we have this new alliance of the ICC and Canada, the EU and other countries that says, well, there's another power base, legal might, if you will. And instead of the U.S. being the leader, we'll make U.S. the target. So, the precedent has been set for the ICC to indict, a former U.S. president if they choose to, because France and Canada and others are on the record that they will comply. So this doesn't just have, and if the U.S. doesn't want to be indicted, just behave. Just, adhere to what the ICC and others tell you to do. And by the way, it's not just presidents and political leaders, it's military veterans. And, the question is, you ask what's the repercussion? I mean, one of the repercussions, is the question, should military vets travel to Canada or Europe or other countries where they can get arrested? Because we can connect the dots here. And the dots are very clear. One dot is that the ICC have said that they want to investigate the U.S. for war crimes in Iraq and Afghanistan. And now is that they tried to do that until they were sanctioned by Trump 4 years ago. A third dot is that the South African foreign minister, the same one that said there's 150 lawyers working on indicting Israelis, also affirmed that the U.S. is next. And then last week we saw that the ICC indeed is willing to target democracies, Western leaders, head of states. So those dots amount to a line that points right into the United States and the U.S. national security. And I really hope that the incoming president, since it's not going to be this president, take firm action, not against the ICC. Of course, they should impose crippling sanctions against the ICC, but also hold accountable those countries who pledge to collaborate, because it is a proxy assault on America.
So I want to talk about the incoming Trump administration in just a second. I want to wrap up with that topic, but I want to ask one other question first. So I don't know if you had a chance to hear already because of the time difference, but just within the last few hours, Alan Dershowitz, a lead attorney here in America, has announced that he's going to put together what he calls a legal dream team of attorneys to fight on behalf of Israel against this ICC travesty. Where do you see that headed? Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? What's your response to that?
Of course, it's a good thing, but I would switch from defense to offense. Of course, defense is important, but as I mentioned, I think the more proper response is on the U.S. political leadership level. If France and Canada and the Netherlands and the EU are saying that they will collaborate with those preposterous idea to arrest Israeli Jews, the United States should let those countries know that it will be held accountable. Now, I don't know, the president should be presented with a range of options of how to deal with France and Canada. It could be as little as, reprimanding the ambassador or recalling the ambassador. It could be as on the other extreme, sanctions and real actions, because again, this is the pledge. Last 80 years ago, when France said we will arrest the Jews, they said, well, we had no choice. Germany invaded us. The ICC did not invade France. The ICC did not invade Canada. They did this, they willingly, and they should be held accountable. So Alan Dershowitz is correct, and God bless him for putting this team together to defend Israel in this arena where we're being attacked, which is the ICC, but we should also switch from defense to offense and impose crippling sanctions against the ICC, as well as hold accountable those who collaborate with it.
That is why I asked if it was seen by you as a bad thing, because sometimes if you go on defense, it sort of lends credibility to an organization that doesn't deserve to have that in the first place. So just switching up, Donald Trump, the incoming president, pro-Israel, a proven record, proven track history of pro-Israel. He's got Mike Huckabee as the ambassador to Israel. He's got Elise Stefanik as the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations. What do you see from this incoming administration insofar as the ICC arrest warrants? They could just disappear under this incoming president. Do you agree?
Absolutely. I mean, the administration, the Trump administration, will have broad discretion. They can do whatever they do. They can even take measures to close the ICC if it refuses to reform and just turn itself into, a vehicle to assault Judaism and through it to have a proxy assault on America. So, Cheryl, the people in Israel are thrilled on the left and on the right alike. I mean, they're certainly. As you know, we breathed a big sign of relief, when President Trump got elected. And every time that there was somebody that was appointed and was announced, these are big friends of Israel. Mike Huckabee has been here dozens and dozens of times. Everybody here is thrilled about that. And the other appointments as well. The incoming Attorney General actually was here in Israel in a delegation of the America-Israel Friendship League. As you know, I've been for 20 years on the board of the America-Israel Friendship League that brings people in. She's a big friend and supporter of Israel, and certainly the other people, Rubio and others are, people in Israel are thrilled about this team and we're thrilled about this president and are looking forward to having this Israeli-American alliance bring in peace, bring in safety, and bring in stability under Trump's leadership.
And just really quickly, I know that there's talk out there, a ceasefire with between Israel and Hezbollah. So with this new administration coming in, I mean, is the end of war in sight?
Absolutely. The end of war is in sight through peace, through strength. I mean, we were technically in a state of war with many Arab countries. In comes President Trump and initiates the Abraham Accords, and we're no longer at war. This was a peace for peace deal. This is in sharp contrast to this kind of Western colonialist framework of two-state solution and other sort of like Western frameworks that are trying to be imposed. And so President Trump has a much more realistic, I like to call it truth-based approach to peace, as opposed to slogan-based approach to peace, which is nothing to do with, with the Middle East. It has to do with, with fundraising parties in the Hamptons and, the EU and other things. So President Trump is in the last administration, and certainly with all the statements and everybody's put in now, shows all the signs that he can bring in peace, true peace, sustainable peace, end wars, and wars will end when people don't attack us. We don't choose wars, but when we get attacked, like we were on October 7th, or like we are through the Iranian missiles that are coming in from Iran, from Lebanon and elsewhere, we have a right to self-defense. So with a strong American president, strong American leadership, God willing, we will not be attacked, and therefore there will not be war. And I truly believe that under Trump's leadership, we could be ushered into an era of peace here in the Middle East and prosperity.
Yeah, it's good news for us here in America as well. 30 seconds, Gal. Your new book, Assault on Judaism. I know that you're headed to America for a book tour starting in Florida. Can people see you on the East Coast? Is there any announcement you can give right now? You can check out the website, theassaultonjudaism.com, but I will be in Florida and in New York, in Washington, and then we'll be back next year as well. We also do a lot of Zoom briefings, and I also have a new column in the Jerusalem Post that applied the ideas in the book to today's policy decisions. For example, what we spoke about last time, that the assault on Judaism is a proxy for an assault on Americanism, and therefore should be handled by the U.S. National Security Council and not by an anti-Semitism envoy. So I encourage people certainly to read the book and engage with its ideas, because people are not focused on it. We're in the midst of a large-scale attempt to negate the idea of the Jewish state, and through it to negate the idea of Judaism, and that by itself serves
as a U.S. national security threat.
It's a very thought-provoking book. I highly recommend it. Gal Kalev from Jerusalem, thank you so much. Have a great holiday week, and we will touch base again soon.
Thank you. Great to be with you.